Welcome back, vlog. Another day in the cardiac OR. I feel like I've been on this rotation forever at this point. I'm sure you guys think the same thing. Anyway, if you guys are watching this on Sunday, July 19th, then it's actually the day after my birthday. Big 30, I can't believe it. But more importantly, today is actually my dad's birthday. Some of you guys who have known me over the last few years know that my dad passed away while I was in medical school, and today's his birthday, so thinking about him a bit extra today. Anyway, we got a big cardiac case today. Time to get to the OR and set up. So like I said, it is my birthday pretty soon here, and it's not just my birthday, but it's actually my siblings' birthdays as well, because some of you guys might know that I am actually a triplet. So I've got a brother and sister my age, and since it's our 30th birthday, we want to celebrate together, so we have a little vacation scheduled, which I will tell you guys more about at some point, but I'm very excited because it's been a long time since I've had a vacation, like at least like 4 months, I think now. I actually get a lot of questions from you guys regarding vacations in residency and just like even like weekends in residency. And I don't think I've done a great job explaining throughout my vlogs what that looks like. How do we schedule vacations? How often do we get vacations? How much vacation time do we get? And then the difference between regular weekends, golden weekends, black weekends, all that kind of stuff. So let me explain it a little bit better. So how does vacation actually work in residency? Because honestly, it's kind of confusing. And I don't think most people realize how limited we are when it actually comes to time off. And also how much that can mess with your mental health and your social life. So welcome back to another story time with Sean. Now here's the thing that most people don't realize. As a resident, you do get vacation, usually somewhere around 3 to 4 weeks a year, which honestly doesn't sound too bad, right? But it's the fine print that gets you, because you don't just take your vacation whenever you want. You have to schedule your vacation before the academic year even starts, like literally a year out. They build your whole schedule into these 4-week blocks, so your time off has to be factored in before they can build that schedule. And it gets even more specific than that. A lot of the time, you can only take vacation during your elective rotations, or essentially your lighter months. You typically can't take vacation during your core blocks. So back in my intern year, I could never take time off when I was on medicine. My vacations could only be when I was on an elective like cardiology. And if the timing didn't work out, then I didn't get my vacation during that time. And don't even get me started on the weekends. As residents, we don't get every weekend off. When you land both a Saturday and a Sunday, that's what we call a golden weekend. And it really does feel golden, trust me. But on a lot of rotations, you might only get 1 or 2 golden weekends a month. Sometimes you're working the entire weekend. Yeah, both days. Sometimes stacking it up to like 12, 13 days in a row without a single day off, which is definitely not so golden. Oh, and sick days? Those are also limited. So when you actually do get sick, it kind of turns into this whole thing because someone's got to cover your patients and is really just inconvenient for everyone. So a lot of residents try not to use their sick days. So basically, your whole life as a resident has to be planned a year out, in blocks, with barely any wiggle room. And the reality is that life does not care about your block schedule. Stuff comes up, things change, and there's almost no room to adapt to it. And that's a big part of why residency wears on us. It's not just the hours, but it's what it does to your head and your life outside the hospital. So when you finally do get a real trip on the calendar, you look forward to it and you savor it. Anyway, that was another story time with Sean. Now let's get back to the vlog. Alright guys, I just got done with another day in the cardiac OR. My head hurts, my back hurts, my blood pressure is probably sky high right now. Honestly, it's moments like this that make me realize I need to stop putting off my doctor's visits. And that's the thing, even though I'm a doctor myself, I am so guilty of doing that. But that's why I'm excited to tell you guys about this week's sponsor, ZocDoc. So here's the thing, it's not that I don't care about my health, it's just that I have the exact same frustrations that you guys do when it comes to seeing a doctor. Getting on the phone with the office is annoying, figuring out insurance is annoying, having to plan that appointment around my busy resident schedule is especially annoying. So I push it off and decide that I'm just gonna deal with it later, which is exactly what I know all of you guys do, and that's the problem that ZocDoc fixes. You guys have heard me talk about ZocDoc before because they are a longtime sponsor of the channel. ZocDoc is a completely free website and app where you search, compare, and book doctors based on what actually matters to you: your location, your insurance, and your schedule. You can read real verified patient reviews, look through provider profiles, and choose based on your own preferences. So instead of just picking a doctor who has an opening, you're picking one that's actually right for you. You can see real-time availability and book in just a few clicks, and the appointments are usually within 24 to 72 hours, sometimes even on the same day. So a few months ago, I actually got connected with my primary care doctor through ZocDoc, and that process was so smooth thanks to ZocDoc. Things that I stratified my search specifically by were location, because I wanted my physician to be very close to my house. I don't want to have to travel a bunch in my limited time to go see a doctor. I want to be able to just leave the hospital, go to the doctor on the way home. And then I also stratified my search by when their next available appointment was, because again, very limited schedule. Sometimes I don't even know that I've got time to go see a doctor until I actually have the time to go see one. So again, with ZocDoc, the fact that you could just see the availability, even the ones that were same day, it really helped me stratify my search so much. And because I could actually read the reviews, it didn't feel like I was just picking the soonest available, closest doctor to me and then end up having a bad experience. The reviews looked great, and when I actually got to my doctor's appointment, they all checked out. She was so nice, and the entire office staff was so friendly. I'm really glad that I found them. And I recently did the exact same thing with a dermatologist that I found, and so hopefully the skin starts to clear up a bit. So if you've been putting off a doctor's appointment because you're tired, busy, overwhelmed, or just hate the process, because same, then I highly recommend you go check out ZocDoc. Go to ZocDoc.com/Sean Anderson and knock that appointment off your to-do list. Again, even as a doctor, I have to force myself to do these things, so if I can do it as a busy resident, I know you can too. Make sure to go check them out, and thank you so much again to ZocDoc for once again sponsoring the channel. Alright guys, welcome to my bedroom. It's about 7 p.m. I just got done with another long day in the cardiac OR, and dude, I am exhausted. As I said at the beginning of this vlog, I turned 30 this week, the day before this vlog is going live, which is pretty insane. And I have been very existential for the past year, as I have been 29 and thinking about the fact that I am ending my 20s and starting my 30s, because it sort of feels like almost like the end of an era and the start of a new one for some reason. You know, when I decided I wanted to go to medical school, I was like 21 years old. I was a couple years into college. And when I decided I wanted to go to medical school, I knew it was going to be a long path. I knew that I would finish my residency training when I was 31, almost turning 32. And that was okay with me, you know, back then. I had this philosophy that we're all going to turn 35 one day. Now, 35 is just this arbitrary number that was in my head because of someone I had talked to. But essentially, the whole idea is you're going to age to some arbitrary age that you decide for yourself. And when you do turn that age, you can either do what you really want to be doing with your life because you chose the longer, harder path, or you could be doing something totally different that you don't want to be doing with your life because it was the shorter path at the time. But no matter what, you're going to turn 35. So what do you want your life to look like when you do turn 35? And that's kind of the philosophy that really set me down the path of medicine. And looking back, my whole 20s was about this, you know? Like, of course, I did a lot of other things. I had a lot of hobbies. I feel like I had a lot of accomplishments. I made a lot of friends, lots of memories. And I don't think that this like totally consumed me like it does to other people. That's just something that I valued and wanted to make sure it did not happen. But for the rest of my life, I will definitely look at my 20s and I will characterize it by the fact that I was doing my medical training. That was like the big thing I've been doing in my 20s. That's been the constant theme of this entire decade of my life, regardless of all the other things that I've luckily been able to do and accomplish. And so it's just really crazy to me that
I'm now turning 30. And I've always looked at 30 as an age that like people expect you to kind of have your life together more. Like your 20s are for figuring yourself out, figuring out what you want to do with your life, and then hopefully setting yourself up for some success. But I don't think there's as much pressure in your 20s to really have things together. But for some reason, I've always thought that when you're in your 30s, people kind of expect you to have your life together or at least know what you're doing, and that the actions you take are a means of, fulfilling whatever that image of yourself is. And you have a little bit less room for improvising and trying new things, and honestly, like a lower threshold for avoiding failure, right? Like the risk gets higher. And that probably becomes especially true once you have like, I don't know, like kids and a family that are dependent on you and your success, which I don't. Like I've got my dogs. Speaking of dogs, I should go let them in. Woo. All right, now the whole gang is here. I don't think you guys have met Sainty yet. This is Saint. He says hello. This is Chip and Chewy's friend. Oops, sorry, dropped you guys. Anyway, these guys have definitely been a huge part of my 20s, and I don't think I would have made it without Chip and Chewy and really all of my support system over the last decade. Very fortunate to have really awesome friends and family who supported me on this entire journey. And I really wouldn't have been able to do it without them. Yes, that includes you too, Chippy. If you knock my phone over again, I swear. I do remember when I started down this path, one of my biggest fears was that my dad was not going to be around to see me finish this mission. And unfortunately, that turned out to be true. And, especially with it being his birthday this week, the other day, can't help but think about that, which is really sad. This decade has definitely had very high highs, but also very low lows. But that's kind of how life goes. And you adapt and you get stronger. And at the end of the day, you just really have to appreciate everything you have and the people around you. Going into my 30s, I don't really know what I want to accomplish. I feel like medicine was on my mind through all of my 20s, and it will be on my mind for the next couple of years and obviously throughout my career, but I have definitely been a lot more introspective as I've approached my birthday this year. As sad as I am to be aging, I'm also excited to see what this decade is going to bring and what I will get to accomplish and what my high highs are going to be. There's going to be low lows. That's how life is. That's how it goes. But I'm just going to keep on moving forward and appreciate everything that I have along the way. Like I told you guys, I am a triplet, so it's also my brother and sister's birthdays, so make sure to wish them a happy birthday as well. We are going on a vacation together. It's actually our first vacation, just the three of us together. We're going on a cruise, which is very exciting. And that is really the main thing that I am looking forward to right now that is keeping me going. Anyway, I just want to thank you guys so much for being a huge part of my 20s and for supporting me on this road. I don't only attribute this decade with my success through my career in medicine, but also with my success in building what's been an amazing community of people that have been able to join me for this decade of my life. That's a very lucky thing. Not a lot of people can say that they have. And so I just really want to express to you guys how much I appreciate you all. Anyway, I am going to go eat some food and get some rest and really just try to get through the rest of this week so that I can get to the weekend and celebrate my birthday. My brother's coming to town, which will be really exciting. And I've got some friends that are visiting and it's just going to be an awesome time. So I am going to look forward to that to get myself through the week. Thank you guys for joining me in another week in residency, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!